XD. This is my XD. This is the XD interface. If you see let me go ahead to use XD then. Figma and XD are very, very similar. When you are creating a product design, for example, let me click it. Is my XD up? Is my Figma up? It's still loading. Figma is based online, right? The same thing as XD, but XD has a mobile application that you can install that you can even use locally. So I'll go ahead to give us an intro into that. It's very similar to Figma, but they are different applications, obviously. One is done from Adobe's end, and the other one is Figma's end. So I'll go ahead to start a new product, and I'll go ahead to show you how this works using Adobe XD, for example. Show me later, Mr. Man. So now, when you open Adobe XD for the first time, for example, you can see my profile here. I just have a starter plan activated. All right, this is the starter plan of my account. So again, you have this simple interface. The good thing about every user experience interface that I have used over the years, guys, they are very, very simple to use. They are not as complex as any graphics design solutions. They are very, very simple to use. So I'll go ahead. First thing that I have here is a template section where I can select a template. What am I designing for? Like I said, if you are designing for mobile, you can select a mobile here. If I click on this drop down arrow here, you can see I can design for iPhone 4, iPhone 14 Pro Max, iPhone 14 Pro, different sizes, different specifications. And then I can also design for web. A web is what comes in different sizes as well. What helps you to decide? Please, can you guys stay muted? So that it is because of you, because this recorded session, you finally get to interact with it, and then you'll be hearing somebody saying, give me pop-up in the background, which is not so nice. Please, let's stay muted in the background. So again, we can select a website, or we can select what are we designing for. Is it an Instagram story, a Facebook cover, whatever? The same thing like your Canva will give you. This is what the same thing this guy will do. So I'll go ahead to select, let's say I'm designing for a phone, for example. So I'll select iPhone 14 Pro Max. When I click on that and click on open, for example, it opens up the land phase of my design. Now, immediately you see this section, you are already familiar with what's happening here. You are familiar with the concept of canvas in Canva design. Canvas is where you create your design. It is known as artboard inside your Adobe XD artboard. This like proper iPhone screen, iPhone 14 Pro screen, right? So if you design for this screen, be sure that everything that you've added here is going to be replicated in your final product, right? Now look at the interface. Look at how simple this interface is. We have the shapes that we can add to our design. For example, we can add different shapes. For example, every application that you open always comes with different buttons, right? The first button is usually like I'll leave the feed for now. I'll just bring out this shape along down part. Around the middle part of your design here, I'll drag my design, and you can see a magenta line that shows a kind of alignment going on. The same thing you'll find in Canva as well. I'll drag this guy up a little bit, maybe around here, and I'll go ahead to Control C V again. I'll go ahead to copy this and paste this guy again, and I'll bring it down. When I copy and paste, you can see it's already showing me again another shape. Every application, upon launch of every application, you always see these two buttons. One will show you sign in. One will tell you log in now, or sign up, right? You want to sign up or you want to log in, the buttons are there for you, and they come in different forms. For example, if I select this shape now, currently you can see that this shape is just represented with an outline. When I select any shape, property palette shows up here. On this property palette, we have something known as a fill and a border. A border is currently what we have, which is the gray color that we have going on, and the fill color is white. If I go ahead to remove the border, for example, and I uncheck that box there, and I go to fill, and I go to the white color that I have here, I go ahead to use one bright color that is very, very obvious. Instead of using red, I'll use something around this blue. I'll just change the hue a little bit. Let's use around blue or something around green. Let's use this green. So I'll go ahead to add this. Still on that color spectrum, you can see that there's somewhere where you can change the saturation of your shape. The other place where you can change the hue of your shape, of your color rather, and the last part is the transparency of that same color. If I increase the transparency, it's more transparent. It's more transparent, blending with the background. But I don't want to change the transparency. I'll leave it as it is. And under here, you see something called X. Every color acts and they call it hex code. for each of the color. People that are into web development knows this. They know this color code. They use it a lot in their web development and front-end development to add the colors and the like. But I'll click on this plus icon because I want to retain this color here on this dashboard. I'll leave that for now, and this other one will be the same color again, but I will not use it as a fill color. You always see this in your design again as well. I'll use that same border color and I'll use that same color for it, right? I'll use that same color, but I'll increase the thickness of that border around what? Let's use 2 for now. I'll use 2. I'll change it from gray, like I said. I'll change it to what? To that blue color. And then you notice that we have created a contrast here, right? The concept of CARP: contrast, alignment, repetition, and what? Proximity. I'll keep these two up there together, maybe move it up a little bit, and then I'll go ahead to have something on that list. We created a shape first. I'll go down to where we have text. I'll click on text once, and I'll come to my workspace and click once. Immediately I click once, a text, you can see a radar is blinking on the screen. I'll go ahead to type sign up for one, and I'll go ahead to click out. I'll go ahead to click on my selection tool. Selection tool is this arrow up that I have up here, V. I'll go ahead to take this guy up. I'll scale it up a little bit. I'll go to the text. For example, I want to change the color. I'll use something like poppins. Let me use poppins, for example. Enter. I'll use poppins and I'll click on what? Let's make it bold. I'll use the bold font type of what? Poppins, and I'll increase the size a little bit. I'll use something around what? 35. 35 is too big. Well, I'll just place it there on my screen for now. Maybe I'll not use bold, maybe I'll use regular then. If I'm using that size, I'll also take it down a little bit. Maybe around 25 then. 25 is okay. Let me change it to maybe semi-bold. Alright. This text is directly at the middle of this shape, and I'll go ahead to click on what? I want to change the text color. You can see it's currently gray. Most of the time, if you have something like this, you want to add a background to it. I'll change the color to what? Around white, as what? Sign up button, right? If I change that, I'll click on the arrow drop down again. I'll bring it down a little bit. What did I do to make that duplicate? Instead of that, let me click on Ctrl C, Ctrl V. If I click on Ctrl C, Ctrl V, I've made a duplicate of that shape. But if I bring it down here, you'll see that it's blends with the background, right? Because it is that. I'll go ahead to select again, go back to the color spectrum. Because it's currently fill is white, I'll change that white color to the blue color that I have earlier. And now you can see that I have sign up here. This one usually stands for what? Login. Right? That means you log in if you already have an account, or what? You sign up if you don't have an account. Most of the time when you are opening an application as well, you also have a small write-up in the background that tells you that forgot password. Maybe forgot password. Is it forgot password? Yeah. And then they're asking you a question, have you forgotten your password? And then you can, this has to be smaller. Instead of 25, I'll make this around 10, for example. Maybe 10 is too small. I'll use around 15. Let's see. I'll bring this guy down a little bit. It's going to be centered as well. And then you always see that if you have forgotten password, you can also what? Click on this section. Most of the time, this does not literally have to carry the colors of the brand. So I'll go ahead to change this color to a very maybe the gray color, definitely this time, or black color, right? I'll use the black color, and then that is for you, for the option of you clicking on what? A forgot password section. Again, you know that whenever you are looking at this, maybe you have an image in the background. How do you bring an image into the shape here that I have here? You can just go ahead. If you have an image in your background, I didn't really plan to do this on XD. It's my Figma back. My Figma is still loading. See this guy wanted to mess me up today. It's not opening still. I'll click on design. Okay, if I feel like I want to bring an image into this guy, I'll go ahead to what? In fact, I can go ahead to just what? Go to file. I can go ahead to what? What's it called? File. I'll go to what? Import. Can you see import section? I can import an image into my design. Very quickly, I'll just locate something on my download. I should definitely have something on my download. Let's say this application are meant for what? Construction workers. So I'll go ahead to what? Use this. Let me bring. Come on. That's my system. Just give it some time. Alright, I have an image in the background. Let me use maybe, let's say this app is meant for construction workers. So I'm going to bring in quite a number of pictures so that we can transition from one page to another, right? I'll leave this like this for now. I'll bring these 5 pictures in, and when I'm bringing them in, it's loading in a little bit, and then you see them, they have been placed. I'll zoom out a little bit. See all those pictures there? I'll select all these pictures. I'll just take them up. In fact, I can scale them down a little bit, take them close to my artboard, and then zoom in back into my design again. Now I just need one of them for to fit into what I'm trying to create here. So I'll just use one of them, scale it up. The image is small scale. I'll scale it up a little bit. I'll put it around here. And then if I select the same image and right click again, and what? There's something called arrange, like a sense of what? Hierarchy. Should I call it hierarchy or layers instead? Layers. So I want to what? Send to what? Back. It should be behind everything I have created earlier. Looking at what I have here, you see that everything has been placed, but the image is what? Affecting my what? The text, the shape that I have in the background. By default, I can change or adjust this thing as a. If you feel like this thing is not working currently, for example, it's not working for me now because of the image that I have here. The image has made everything other difficult. Now you can have an overlay. There are different ways you can correct it. If you want to use that same image, or you can even change the image if you want to. But if you still want to use the same image, I can add an overlay to it. I can create a shape that what be like an overlay over that same shape, over that same design, over that same image that I have ongoing, and I'll do the same thing to it. Send to what? Back. If I send it to back, you see that that image is already on top. I'll select that same image again and what? Send to back again. So I have that image below the what? The overlay. Now I can select the overlay color. It can be around the same blue color. I can remove the what? Outline. I'll add the fill color of what? That same blue. But this time, what am I trying to do? I'll make it a deep color blue this time, and I'll reduce the transparency a little bit. Right? If I do it this way, look at what is happening. It's showing the image in the background a little bit. You understand? I can make the transparency even better by what? Increasing the transparency a little bit, maybe making it darker. But again, you can see now that the login is working. Now I might have to change this guy to what? White, for example, so that it would work. Right? This seems to be working already. If I have a brand logo here, I'll just gladly what? Add it at the center here. This works already. If I want to make another variation of this, I'll go ahead to Ctrl+C+V this guy. I'll select the artboard. While I have the artboard selected, I'll Ctrl+C+V. It creates a duplicate of that. This time I'm not going to change. I'm not going to use what's it called? Transparency to create that contrast. This time I'll increase I'll leave the transparency back to what? Original. In fact, I can make it white. I don't really care. Now I'll go ahead and select the same guy. I'll just do something known as what? Background blur. When I go to background blur on this section under the properties here, I can set the amount of blur that I can add to it. So I can reduce the blur a little bit instead of what? Changing the color of this. So I can, while it's currently blue, I can still add some color tints to it. Maybe that same blue color. But you can see that there's a background blur. That's what I'm using this color for. I'll go ahead to what? Add the amount of brightness a little bit. I can reduce the brightness a little bit. But this is what? Using blur as also a contrast, to create that contrast that we need, just for it not to what? Affect our what? Background. If this blur is working for you, please be my guest. If it's not working for you, you can do a lot more just by working on this interface. Same way, we have these different faces that we can work with, right? We have different things that we can set here, a lot of things. And the good thing about how this application works is, about how this product works is, there's another part of this design that is known as what? Prototype. You can see there's a design section, a design area. Look at my mouse currently. Design area. There's another part known as what? Prototype area. When I click on prototype, the commands have changed completely. What do I do on prototype area? I'll click on this section and I'll create, let me create 2 variations. I'll use this guy instead of the other one. I'll delete this one. Now I'll click on Ctrl+C+V, Ctrl+C+V again. So I'll go ahead to bring this guy up. What I want to do here is what? Remove this background image. I'll go back to my design order. I want to create multiple slides so that we can see the effect of what? Prototyping. I'll select this image, I'll delete. I'll just add another image of interest in that background. Let me just add this guy here. I'll increase it a little bit. Select the image, bring it down so that it aligns with the background, and then I'll scale it up a little bit. Now when I do that, it's covering the entire interface as usual. I'll go ahead, arrange, and what? Send to back. And you see my blur area is already working on that as well. So I'll also do the same thing for this one too. I'll look for the image, select the image. I'll delete this guy, and I'll go ahead to find another image that I can use in the background. For example, this one is working very well. I'll arrange and send to back as usual. Ctrl Z. I'm on the wrong artboard. I'll drag this guy out of the wrong artboard. I'll put it on the right artboard. Right? On the right artboard, I'll right click and what? Do the same thing. Select the same guy, alright, send to back. And then while it's on that right artboard, I'll adjust the view again so that it what captures the what people that are working in the background. And you can see this working, right? Most of the time when you launch an application, while you have the sign up and login interface, this image can be transitioning in the background, animated, such that you will see, you will see something similar to like three circles in the background. If you are using bank application, all these fake bank applications are not well designed sometimes. You see them with what something that shows what different screens. So I'll go ahead to do that again. Right, I'll zoom in close to this. I'll what make it what duplicate again. I'll now select this 3 again, Ctrl G. I'll make it what at the center. I'll put it at the what center. Be this guy. I'll put them what at the center of my design, and then I'll go ahead to what zoom out. So you always see this. It shows that what there are 3 images that you are switching from. I can select these 2, make them what select these 2. This guy and this guy. I'll make them what an outline. And I want to remove the fill. I want to remove the fill. This shows that you are currently on the first image. When you go to this section, it's the same thing. Ctrl C. I'll remove this guy. Ctrl C. I'll come back to this guy. The next artboard here. Ctrl V. It's the next artboard here. Ctrl what V. And on this next section here, I'll move to this third artboard. Basically, I'm going into some details that I don't really have to do, but I'll just do that for the sake of it. Go to this guy, add the word fill, remove what the outline. Right? This guy what remove the word fill, add the word outline of what white. Right? I'll go ahead. That shows that we are on the second one. And this last part what goes to this section here, go into this guy here. I'll go ahead to what make this what outline already is correct. Remove what the fill of this one, make it what an outline as usual. Pick it up. And then this last guy is the guy that we want to do what fill. Immediately from there, if you are seeing any back, most of back application apps, that's what I'm doing because you can relate with this. I'll remove the fill, add a fill to it. So you see them when you're as it's switching, as it's animated in the background. When you get here to show this, when you get here, if it's more than this, you see the dots as well. It's going to show more dots in the background. What am I trying to say in a nutshell, guys? When I go to prototype, I can select the first artboard. I can now link it to what I want it to do. For example, I want sign up. When you click on sign up button, it should take you to where? Take you to the one that has what construction icon in front of it. Can you see that? When I go to what this sign up button, I've animated. Can you see that I drag something out? I can drag it out so that I can see it. I can drag it out. When I drag it and put it in empty space, it stops. Can you see this arrow? I can drag it to this artboard or this one here. When I click and drag it to this next artboard, it's connect. Now, what's the trigger? Tap. Don't worry about this. Don't go into the details. Don't worry, guys. I'll just go ahead to select these 2 guys again. I'll want to group them. And I'll go ahead to use this arrow to take it to the next slide. That means, look at what just happened here. If I highlight all the artboard, guys, this sign up button will take you to this artboard. This next sign up button, this login button will take you to the next one. That means if you click on sign up, don't expect yourself to get to where we have this one here, right? So how do I get back to the next part? So if I want to get back for both of them, if you go to this guy on this artboard, if you click on forget password, it should take you back to home. I'm just kidding. This is just like a sample. I want to show you like how prototype works. I'll go back to this next guy. Also, when you click on forget password, it should take you back to home, which is this guy here. Are you with me? So I'll go ahead to transition. I'll go ahead to play this design now. If I go ahead to play, can you guys see this play here? It's like a preview. Let me confirm if you guys can see the same thing that I'm seeing. Yes, you should be seeing it. So now that I have this play section here, if I go ahead to click on login, it goes to login page. Can you see that? If I click on any other thing, it will not work until I click on forget password to take me back to home. Right? I'll click on login again, it takes me to that next page. If I click on any other thing, it will not work until I go to Do you get me? This is basically how it works. If I want to move from one artboard to another, all I need to click on an arrow on my arrow page. On my arrow key on my keyboard, it will switch from one artboard to another. Just basically scroll. And you can see this is how it will be showing when you have the application on your home page. Just be scrolling through, animating all these slides. Are you with me? Basically, this is how it works, guys. When you click on sign up, it works. Forget password, it goes back. Login, the same. And this same process works for not just Adobe XD, also works for our Figma as well. Let me go ahead to save this project very quickly. I'll save it on a local design. I'll go ahead to put it inside my design. I'll just call it Intro to XD. All right, that's ports, right? Ports intro to XD. Yeah, I'll click on save, and that design has been saved.